Napoleon Bonaparte did not lose his empire on a battlefield. There was no single decisive clash where his army was surrounded and annihilated, no dramatic surrender that marked the end of his dominance, no final charge that shattered everything at once. What destroyed Napoleon's empire was something quieter, a decision that felt reasonable at the time, a delay that seemed temporary, a belief that time was still on his side. By 1812, Napoleon stood at the height of his power. He controlled most of continental Europe directly or through forced alliances. Austria had been defeated, Prussia humbled, Spain battered. Even Russia had previously been pushed into uneasy cooperation. But cooperation began to fray. Tsar Alexander I slowly withdrew from Napoleon's continental system, the economic blockade designed to cripple Britain. To Napoleon, this wasn't merely economic defiance, it was political rebellion. If Russia could ignore him without consequence, the illusion of French supremacy would fracture. So he assembled the largest army Europe had ever seen. Over 500,000 soldiers marched east in the summer of 1812. French veterans, Polish cavalry, German infantry, Italians, Dutch, Croats, an empire in uniform. It was a display of dominance, and Napoleon expected it to be decisive. His strategy relied on speed, force the Russian army into one massive engagement, destroy it, march into a major city, demand negotiation, end the campaign quickly. That was how wars were supposed to be won. But Russia refused to cooperate. Instead of standing and fighting, Russian commanders retreated deeper into their vast territory. Villages were burned, crops destroyed, livestock removed, wells poisoned. The French army advanced, but with every mile east, supply lines stretched thinner. This was not incompetence, it was strategy. The Russians understood something Napoleon underestimated. Distance itself could be a weapon. As the Grand Army pushed forward, horses began dying from exhaustion and lack of fodder. Supply wagons lagged behind. Food grew scarce. Disease spread through the ranks. Still, Napoleon pressed on. He believed momentum would break Russian resolve. In September 1812, after months of attrition, the French army reached Moscow. The city was not the political capital, that was St. Petersburg, but Moscow carried enormous symbolic weight. Napoleon believed its capture would force Tsar Alexander to negotiate. He entered expecting surrender. Instead, he found emptiness. And then, fire. Within days, Moscow was engulfed in flames. Russian forces and local authorities had evacuated much of the population. Fires erupted across the city. Whether set deliberately or triggered by chaos, the result was catastrophic. Large portions of Moscow were destroyed. Napoleon now occupied a burned, abandoned city with limited supplies and no diplomatic response from the Tsar. This was the moment that mattered most. His generals urged retreat. The army was weakened. Winter was approaching. Supplies were unstable. Every additional day increased risk. Napoleon hesitated. He believed leaving too soon would signal weakness. He believed Alexander would eventually sue for peace. He believed the campaign could still be salvaged. Most dangerously, he believed winter would not arrive with full force. He waited more than a month. During that time, discipline deteriorated. Soldiers scavenged for food. Horses were slaughtered. Morale collapsed. Communication faltered. Units fragmented. By the time Napoleon ordered the retreat in October, conditions had already shifted beyond recovery. Then winter arrived. Temperatures plunged well below freezing. Snow blanketed roads, frostbite set in, men collapsed and froze where they fell, cannon wheels shattered, wagons abandoned, weapons discarded. Russian forces, now confident, harassed the retreat relentlessly. The disaster reached its peak at the Berezina River in November. Bridges hastily constructed under pressure struggled to hold the desperate masses attempting to cross. Thousands drowned in icy waters. Others were crushed, shot, or left behind. What remained of the Grand Army disintegrated. Of the 500,000 who marched into Russia, fewer than 100,000 returned, and many of those were wounded, sick, or broken. Napoleon had not been decisively defeated in a single battle. He had been defeated by delay. The myth of his invincibility shattered. Former allies sensed weakness. Prussia defected. Austria reconsidered loyalties. Coalitions reformed. Within 2 years, Napoleon would be forced to abdicate and sent into exile. His empire unraveled with astonishing speed. History often frames collapse as dramatic, a final battle, a decisive loss, a clear turning point. But empires rarely fall in one moment. They erode through overconfidence, through miscalculation, through hesitation. Napoleon's army survived Moscow, but it could not survive the decision to stay.